Cowherd boy is Krishna, the calf is Arjuna. People of purified intellect are the drinkers of the milk, and the milk is the supreme nectar of the Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 4, verse 26. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4. Jnana Karma Sannyasa. Others offer the sense organs like ear, etc., in the fires of self-control, while others offer the objects like sound and so on in the fires of the organs. In the books that you have, others offer as sacrifices their senses of hearing, etc., into the fires of self-discipline. Other yogis, again, offer sound and other objects of perception into the fires of the senses. This needs a little explanation to that. If you remember, the illustration is always given as in the Vedic days, and even of course today, there was something called the fire sacrifice. And this fire sacrifice was extremely holy. It was a ritual, and different aspects of the Vedas had different types of sacrifices, different deities, different mantras, but the formalism was the same. You have to sacrifice something that you have into that holy fire, sacred fire. That is the illustration. So that illustration now is taken, as we have seen, by the Lord and internalized. This is the whole process of the Vedanta scriptures. It's internalizing ideas that were external, rituals, etc., and putting them inside. Now, as we know, the Lord here does not condemn all these various sacrifices as useless or, oh, there's no point in doing this. But he's giving them all a higher turn and higher direction. And what is that higher direction? Inside. See, as long as we are on the sensory level, we are nothing better than any other animal, because they also live on their senses. To rise up above the sensory level, that is human endeavor, that is deliberate. The senses can run, and we also can run behind them, and we know what happens. Life in the senses has to be sacrificed through what? Through the fires of self-control. So the first line of this verse is, others offer the organs that is like ear, etc., into the fires of self-control. Shrotradin indriyan nanye sanyamagnishu juvati. Shabdadin vishayan nanya indriya agnishu juvati. Juvati is to offer, to ritually offer. Now he's saying all the senses that are functioning, the senses of perception, eyes, ears, nose, smell, all these things, they are functioning. And what is the function of the senses? They go out and apprehend or touch the sense objects. The senses and the sense objects are eternally linked. It's just impossible. Imagine if you don't have any sensory system, you will not experience this world. But this experience of this world that comes through all these senses, like I said, they are now converted into a kind of sacrifice. It's like pouring streams of oblations into the fire. And these oblations are like all the sensory perceptions that come in are like streams of oblations poured into the fire of control, Samyama. Others, that is now, he is giving a kind of a wide spectrum of different people performing different sacrifices, all being internalized. Others, who are these yogis? As we have seen, the commentator Shankaracharya has classed yogis into two. One is the karma yogi, a bhakti yogi, a raj yogi, and one is the jnana yogi, the knowledge yogi. Those who sacrifices jnana yajnas, knowledge sacrifice. So these yogis, what do they do? Now samyama is, if you say, yeah, it's a control, all right. The commentator also says that very control acts like fire. It burns away the dross that is coming within its ambit. Kind of all these sense perceptions are coming inside and they are being poured, as it were, into the fire of self-control. This is generally explained like this. But technically, as some of the commentators have said, in the Yoga Sutras, there is something called withdrawal of the senses from their objects. It's called pratiharana. He dragged them. And the example even Sri Ramakrishna gives, it's like the mahut, the rider on the elephant, Now when the elephant puts his trunk out in some banana grove, at the side of the road, or plantain trees, what the mahut, the rider, does is he'll bang that ankush, that goad on that elephant's head, and the elephant will retract the trunk. And again, he thinks now that the rider up there is kind of, thinking of something else. He'll again put his trunk out. Again, the guy will give it. So, this is the way of pratyahara. This is how slowly, as the Bhagavad Gita in the 6th chapter, Shanai Uparamed, slowly, gradually, Uparamed, pull back. We have become too externalized. We have become fragile. We have become disintegrated. You ask anybody, okay, what do you like? Ice cream. Okay, I'll give you 5 pounds of ice cream. See how much you can eat. See what happens. The senses and all are kind of, just dissipated. They don't have the stamina. And yet they have the capacity to delude. You come away from the ice cream and then the mind will say, go back and have a little more. Why do you leave all that good stuff there? And you come, no, I want it. You're constantly deluded by the senses. And Swami Vivekananda is very clear. The first step towards spirituality is the control of your senses. You've got to raise yourself up from the level of the beast and show that you're a human being. It's a deliberate process. So first you retract it. Okay? You keep on retracting, and as you're retracting, then comes the technical word, Samyama, the control. Now, what is control? In the Yoga Sutras, we have 3 internal, you can say, disciplines: dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Concentration, meditation, and absorption, samadhi. It's a degree of concentration here. As the commentator says, you retract your mind from the objects and you fix it up on that indwelling deity within you, in your heart. You just can't retract it and do what? You got to fix it up somewhere. Okay, you fix it up on the image of the Lord. Okay, there it is. You push it there. And as you keep on concentration will break because concentration moves in a wave. You think you're meditating, you're concentrating, but you actually are not doing it continuously. It's in a wave form. It's like, when still pictures are moved at 21 frames a minute or whatever, in the movies, they're all still pictures. You get the idea of a motion, a smooth motion. Actually, just discrete, you can say, pictures. So similarly, when you're concentrating, you think you're meditating on the Lord continuously. Oh wow, it's coming. Now it's luminous, it's flashing. But actually the mind is moving in a wave. And it's always open to disturbances. Somebody opens a door and the mind is rushed there. Somebody coughs and mind is rushed there. And you're trying to concentrate. So concentration constantly breaks in. And then you're sitting down there, you're thinking of a dog there. Oh, there. I don't know what's that. Again, you bring your mind back. It's a constant process. So as this concentration deepens, there is a steady flow. And that steady flow is called like pouring oil from one vessel to another. You pour water, say from one bucket to another, all the water will splash all over the place. When you pour oil, it will pour in a stream, steady stream. Taila dharavat. So that's the idea. This is meditation. And in this state, what happens is outside disturbances are almost non-existent. But there are internal disturbances from the subconscious mind. But in that, as this state of meditation is heightened, it becomes into intense concentration called samadhi. Samadhi is not sitting down, closing your eyes and boom, going out. It is intense concentration, samadhau. Okay? So concentration, meditation and samadhi, these are different stages of the same concentration. Deeper and deeper and deeper. These three are called Samyama, control. Once you have this, what happens? In absorption, there is no external disturbance, nor internal disturbance also. And what happens? Only the meaning and the image of the Lord flashes there. Only. Nothing else comes to bother your absorption. So this is concentration, samadhi with seed, because obviously there are seeds yet. And if there were no seeds of disturbance, then you would have remained in that state forever and ever. But since it does break, that absorption does break, that means there are some seeds of disturbances down, deep down below. They come and push that samadhi, elbow the guy out, get going, okay. So this intense practice itself is called the fire of self-control. Samyama agnishu. Why agnishu? It's in the plural, because Shankaracharya says that this process can be applied to every senses. All the 5 senses that we have can be applied. Okay, so you keep on dragging this thing down. It goes up here, come here, and this guy goes there. You bring him here. When you've closed your eyes, you're meditating, your ears have now become hyper. There. Oh, I think somebody is going to come now. Then you bring that ear also. Come here. But then that sense of touch will disturb you. Oh, this seat is too hard. Oh. And over and over and over. So what happens? It's a kind of constant process of disentangling your sensory system from the objects, bringing them here, and then concentrating the mind deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay, I think this is clear, Juvati. So all these are like oblations, what are coming in, and they are merging into the fire of self-control. There it's lit up. This is what it is. Shabdadin Vishayananya Indriya Agnishu Juvati. So others offer the objects like sound, etc. Sound, taste, touch, sight, smell, all these things into the fire of the sense organs. First it was the sense organs have to be retracted and pulled back in and pushed into that fire of knowledge inside, of self-control. Now what happens is, after this person has emerged out, it's called the Vyuthana Avastha. Once that state has terminated, you come out and then you'll see the world in a kind of different light. Oh yes, nobody sees the world the way it is. Everybody sees this world through their own filters. And the filters, big filters, are these senses and the mind. So what happens? These senses, after being held under a kind of a control, being pulled inside, they obey you now. They don't run away the way they used to. Now they are going to obey. They are going to stay in their stations. Yes, and they have now become transformed due to the first exercise of a fire of self-control. They have been kind of burnished or purified through this. So their senses have become extremely purified. I remember a long time ago, there was a Swami, we were talking, he was a very great Swami, and some brahmacharyans like this came saying, we are rehearsing a song, why don't you come and see where exactly we are kind of missing a note or something like that. So I say, you go and practice, I'm talking to these guys, and I'll tell you later on. So they were insistent that he come to that music room that we had. So then he dismissed them. So they go and rehearse that. We can kind of hear it at a background, And we are conversing with that Swami. Me and there was another guy there. We were talking. High philosophy. So after the rehearsal, those brahmacharyans come. How was it? Yeah, you made a mistake here, and he brought out all those mistakes, and we were surprised like the other brahmacharyans. What? But you were conversing with us. How come you're paying attention to all those it's a classical music, and it's very difficult. Not rock music, the classical. How did you? Saying, he started dismissing it. No, don't worry, it's just practicing. No, there has to be something about it. Something special. What is that? Oh, you see, my senses have become extremely pure. They're sattva guna, sattvic, clear. It can catch things immediately. Even far off things can be kind of apprehended with that. So that gave me an idea. Yeah, they say all that is pouring in the senses, their defects are burnt out here. What happens is, now everything that comes to the senses is nothing but smacked with the idea of divinity. So I hear something, I see something, I taste something. Oh, these are just streams, divine streams that are coming here inside. They are not going to bother you. So one is the state of samadhi, the next one, after you come out of it, your body and your senses get transformed. Externally you might look the same, but this samadhis transform you. Samadhi is again Remember, these are highly concentrated states of minds. And if you can get that, your whole personality, your whole mind, your whole body changes. Okay. This is the power of samadhi, intense concentration. So these things come in here. Now Swami Vivekananda in his Raj Yoga, he speaks from a slightly different perspective. He's saying there are three things. Things that come in here slowly inside, then the senses carry this thing further down to the mind, the brain, and then the mind or the brain reacts. Okay? Now that is the grahitri, that one which holds. And this is the instrument, grahana. And this is the graheshu. This, whatever comes in is accepted or pulled in here by these instruments, but the real experiencer is inside. It gives the order of, until unless there is a reaction. Yeah. A mosquito sits on your nose and keeps on biting you, and if you are not aware, you won't feel, you won't react. But when suddenly you become aware, there's a mosquito, you might smash your own nose, who knows? It's the reaction that brings knowledge. So all experience is reaction. If there's no reaction, it's no experience at all. Things have come and have gone. You don't know. You know what happened? A mosquito came and sat on your nose and bit you. Do you know that? No, I didn't know. Now you see your nose has become red. Oh yes, it has. So that experience has left you. Another experience has now got you. So it's that external vibrations, then the internal vibrations, and then the reaction. Now these are so fast, I mean, there's nothing faster than this. Anejadekam. The mind is extremely fast. But the yogi can separate these three things. The vibrations that come, you can stop it here. And you can stop from the vibrations, internal vibrations of the nerves, of the senses. Like in the case of this optic nerve, you can control even these optic nerves, and then you can control even the reaction. So there are different meditations, on this. Like the idea is given, suppose you bring a gem in front of a mirror. What happens? It reflects things as it is. Okay? Now, this is how they say that when you are meditating and you're very controlled, the image of the Lord there is as clear as a gem reflected in a mirror. Now, when you do that, no external, you can say, vibrations or internal vibrations will disturb that. There will be no image of any other object other than the gem in the mirror. Why? Because these three processes have been kind of cut. The external vibrations, the internal nervous vibration, and the reaction has been held. So this is, others offer the objects like sound, etc., into the fires of the organs. The sensory system itself has become transformed into the fire. This idea of control has become so, you can say, spontaneous. One time, Swami Vivekananda, he kept a coin, silver coin probably, under the bedding of Sri Ramakrishna. Okay. And Sri Ramakrishna entered the room and he came and sat on the bedding, and immediately he, like somebody pushed him up. How? He got it. So, and then Swami Vivekananda quietly slunk out of the room. And Sri Ramakrishna noticed it, and he was kind of pleased. Because You know, he could not touch any metal. And Swami Vivekananda wanted to see if it was really so. And then Sri Ramakrishna lifted the mattress there. There you saw that came. So Sri Ramakrishna's fingers and all used to kind of curl. His breathing used to stop when he touched any metal or something, because he associated metal with kind of money, kind of. So money is okay, not good for me. So here we find the same thing, that the senses have become like fires. They're not letting anything cross over. We have the firewalls, Nowadays we have to put walls, China put a big wall because it wanted to stop all these invasions. But whatever it was, these guys invaded. And we have firewalls. Those hackers know how to cross the firewall. So there's during puja, we put a ring of fire around us, And when Sri Ramakrishna used to actually do that puja, when he used to utter that mantra and sprinkle that water around, he used to see a wall of flames. Well, that was the intensity of his devotion was tremendous. So we have a firewall here. Anything coming, it has to pass through this. And then it gets burnt. All the dross, all the impurities are burnt. And then, like that Swami, the senses become extremely intelligent and highly, you can say, pure. That is the way to control. If you have senses like that of a bull, you think you are going to control those kind of sensory system? No. You've got to convert that bull into something better. Beat him now and then, and slowly. I should not be like a bull, because in a China shop I'll go and destroy everything. So I've got to be careful. So the bull now slowly is controlled. So until and unless spirituality has to grow, it has to grow with the sensory system completely under your control. Then you'll see a kind of a lift. Your mind is actually just lifted up. Your mind becomes free. It's just all the mind is tossed about and pulled and yanked and dissipated by everything that's pouring into it. And you have no control at all. What pours in and what comes out, what is it? That's why Bhadram Karne Be Shrunayam. Maybe see, maybe hear what is auspicious, maybe see what is auspicious. That is the idea. So this is Shrotradin Indriya Nanye Sanyam Agnishu Juvati. Shabdadin Vishaya Nanya Indriya Agnishu Juvati. This. There are two methods of complete absorption, samadhi. One is to dissolve in it, laya samadhi. And there's another one, you stop everything that's going inside that mind. It's bada samadhi. That is, you sublate it, you pull the thing out. So these two, the next verse also, 27th verse also speaks about that kind of intensity. Okay. 27th, others offer the activities of the organs, sense organs, and the activities of the vital force into the fire of the yoga of self-control, which has been lighted by knowledge, wisdom. Others offer all the functions of their senses and the functions of the vital airs, prana, into the fire of yoga in the shape of self-control, kindled by wisdom. Now, we understand what are the five senses, the five sensory organs and the five motor organs. Of course, there are other, you can say, subdivisions of that. But just to give you the idea, this body, the body will not function without these sense organs. It doesn't move, it doesn't see, nothing happens to it. So it's just a piece of kind of meat. It will be like that, doing nothing. But then there is something called that which enlivens it. And what are those? It's called the vital force, the pranas. So the pranas are there, they are 5 in number. So that which comes here is prana, apana, vyana, all this thing. Samana, it takes all that heat and spreads it all. And udhana is that which helps the mind lift the soul out of the individual soul out of this body and take it to another place. That's okay. It has other functions also, but these are the 5 vital forces within us. These vital forces also energize the senses. It energizes the body, it energizes senses also. So these 2 categories of, you can say, entities, the sensory system and the vital force system, the prana. What is it? Others offer all the activities of the organs and the activities of the vital force into the fire of the yoga of self-control. Now, we have seen this kind of control of the sensory system, and as we keep on concentrating deeper and deeper and deeper, we lose all sense of time and space. And we are now concentrating on an object. It may be a deity or a symbol or a sound symbol, anything. Here, there's a subtle difference. The object of, you can say, concentration is pure consciousness. Why? Because everything actually has emerged from consciousness. And you're trying to take a kind of a reverse process, merging, as saying, Yached Vang Manasi Prajna. May let your, you can say, sensory system merge in the mind. May you then merge that mind into the intellect. May that intellect be merged into the higher self. It's a reverse, it's a telescoping effect. You had extended the thing, now you are telescoping things inside, pulling deeper, slow, going down, down, down. And even in the Bhagavad Gita, as we have seen in the 3rd chapter, Indriyani Parani Ahur Indriya, higher than the senses is the mind, higher than the mind is the intellect, higher than the intellect is the individual soul, and higher than the individual soul is the cosmic soul, etc. So the idea is, get back, merge one set of entities, the lowest, grossest form of entity, into the higher one. And the next higher into the 3rd higher, and then into the 4th higher. So it's a reverse process. What our lives and what our senses are doing is throwing us out. Experience this world. I'll give you a kind of a chocolate. Come. Yes. Come. I'll give you a cookie. Dinanath is not interested in cookies. So, it's always kind of tantalizing. It's always deluding you. Come out. You draw, like, even children, come. Take this, and the child also will kind of wobble over and will come, go in for that. Take that chocolate. Hey. He's very glad about it. Then the child grows up, and then he's saying, you put a kind of a tape out there, 100-meter tape at a 100-meter line. Now run quickly. I'll give you a medal. Come, run. And he'll run. There. And you put a medal. He's pretty glad about it. That is what the senses want you to do. Come out. See this beautiful world out here? Enjoy yourself. But then, you get scorched. And after some time, you want to retract it slowly, slowly. So as you are retracting your senses in the pranas, the vital force is in the mind in the intellect in the higher soul. What's happening is you have started a reverse journey back to the source, to your source. What is your source? Consciousness. Nothing else. If there's anything else, no, there's nothing else. So without consciousness, everything is dead, dull. Everything is over for you. So the idea is this, that you have to start drawing yourself in. And the whole illustration is given as, it's like you're pouring these oblations into the fire. Most of you have seen that how the fire sacrifices are performed. You take a ladle, take that ghee, clarified butter, and swaha, there. And then the fire just leaps up. When you pour clarified butter into that fire, boom. And that is supposed to be kind of, you purified it with mantras and this and that. That fire, as we know, is the Ramakrishna fire. Like we worship Ramakrishna in an image, during that time Ramakrishna is a fire. And you're pouring all these things into it. So here, the fire is the fire of consciousness, your consciousness, and you're pouring everything inside it. So what consciousness does is increases. So this is what is called that others offer the activities of the organs and the activities of the vital force into the fire of the yoga of self-control, Atma Samyama, control. Now, there is, he's saying, the next line, which has been lighted by knowledge. So, you will now distinguish the non-self from the self, the non-consciousness aspect from the consciousness aspect. You will keep that kind of awakened, you can say, intelligence, constantly monitoring things. Oh, this is a non-self, out. Anatman. This is a self, this is consciousness. So your light of knowledge is your discernment there. It's called Viveka Buddhi. There it is now monitoring and filtering things. Out, this is in. Out, get out. Let's go for a cookie. Out. So, this is it's a constant. And as that fire is burning and burning and burning brighter, that viveka, that discernment also becomes brighter and brighter and brighter. This is the meaning of Swami Vivekananda. He was that. Okay. 28th. Now he's shifting the focus to, he has to include everyone. There are different types of sacrifices. These are the kind of elite, you have these kind of elite soldiers, kind of these Navy SEALs and this and that, and they are the elite. The rest of these guys are like, okay, they are there, okay, fine. Yeah. Now, he's explaining all the different types of sacrifices done by different types of people, different grades of people. Dravya yagna, stapo yagna, yoga yagna, stata pare, swadhyaya jnana yagnascha yatayah samshita vrataha. Similarly, others are performers of sacrifices through wealth, through austerity, through yoga, and through study and knowledge. Others are ascetics with severe vows. Yeah, now in your book, it's some perform sacrifice with material possessions, Some offer sacrifice in the shape of austerities, others sacrifice to the practice of yoga, while some striving souls, observing austere vows, perform sacrifice in the shape of wisdom through the study of sacred text. Kind of. So here, dravya yajna. This is, like I said, everything is a sacrifice. A yajna is a sacrifice. Okay. That in which we offer our material, possessions, whatever we have, as a sacrifice. In the old days, there was something called Ishta and Purta and Datta, that you build tanks and houses, rest houses, you build some hospitals, you build some temples, and you give charity and this and that. All these things like, no? But these are done with the religious vow, with the religious kind of point of view, the religious direction. They're not done just because I'm feeling great, let's donate. No. I'm doing this as a sacrifice for my God. So these are the people they were encouraged to perform. Like Sri Ramakrishna is saying, those who have money should give. Those who don't have money should do japa. Now, this possession is not bad, but use it as a means to attain God. That's the idea. So, like Sri Ramakrishna will say that, oh, this is Shiva samsara. That is, this samsara is of Shiva, and this family is of Shiva, God. So whatever they did, they spent money or did something. It was meant as a kind of a religious sacrifice. It's a vow. Charity was now transformed into a sacrifice. The ordinary idea of giving somebody has now become transformed. And this is what Swami Vivekananda insisted upon. Like everybody a Narayana, that reality. You help them with that end in view, that inside this person is that God, Narayana, and I, in helping that person, am kind of worshipping that God inside. So this was the idea of dravya. Dravya is material, kind of. Dravya, tapo yajna. You can say, what is tapas? Tapas is the kind of bedrock of every type of life. What kind of life? If you want to attain anything, you'll have to put your whole, you can say, energies into one focus. Tapas. Like the Mahabharata says, the highest form of tapas is the concentration of your senses and the mind. That is okay. Paramam tapa uchyate in ekandriya, that is where the senses and the mind has become so focused and like it's one. So why is that? You take up any activity, take it up as a kind of a sacrifice. Take it up as a kind of an offering to the Lord. I'm singing, I'm dancing, I'm playing music, I'm doing it for the Lord. And push your limits, how much you can go to the very limit, and the next day, go even further and further and further and further. Do it all for the Lord. So what happens? That person becomes focused, that person becomes intense. The problem with us in our lives is, oh, they're kind of happy-go-lucky. Oh, hi, how are you? Oh, fine. What fine? There's no intensity at all in life. We pray, there's no intensity in life. We want to meditate, there's no intensity in meditation. We want to chant, there's no intensity in chanting. Okay, we want to do something, cleaning, there's no intensity in that also. So we are just kind of, floating about. Life has become a kind of, like float Sam and jet Sam, we are coming and going. We've not got depth at all in what we do. This comes through tapo yajna. Austerity. It's austere. Oh, it's kind of very austere, very austere. In tapas has got a different kind of meaning. Tapas is actually heating up. Tapa. Swami Vivekananda explained, heating up the higher nature so that it opens up. And that comes through an intense focus. It's not giving up certain things. I gave up chocolates and I gave up this and I gave up that. That's a very austere person. That's not austere. Do things intensely. And that is what is tapo. Yoga yajna. This, when you practice yoga, the Ashtanga yoga, the eight-limbed yoga, that is yoga yajna. This is according to Madhusudan Saraswati. So here we have this practice of yoga, also at the form of. But people want to go for the meditation. You start with the lowest step, the yama and niyama. These are kind of moral disciplines. Once you've built your base there, once you're on rock solid ground, then you start building up the third. You say asana, seat. Yeah, Swami Ramakrishnananda, he could sit down for 24 hours without moving. I have seen people sitting down for the whole night without moving. They had something called the perfection in sitting down, asana siddhi. Asana. No. Why? Because, as I say, meditation is possible in a sitting position. Asina sambhavat. There. So here it is. Sit down like a mountain, immovable. You are going to sit down to meditate, you are going to sit down and be immovable. Let the San fault also become active. You are going to be still. So yoga yagnas tata apare, that's the others. Swadhyaya. So studies is also a form of sacrifice. In the old days, it was swa-adhyaya. Every clan had one part of the Vedas given to them. Your job is to now study this and transmit it to the next generation, over and over. So swa-adhyaya, one's own chapters, as I say, one's own study. So later on, it becomes the general idea of studies. So people who study according to the rules, perfectly. Like we read and then, what did I read? I kind of go back. Yeah, that was that. No. Swami Vivekananda, when he used to read, he never forgot it. He had a tremendous memory. He's saying, even my memory is second grade. My mother and grandmother, they had better memories. They used to listen to it once or read once, and that was that. They had tremendous medha. So, study according to rules also is a form of spiritual practices. I remember one time I had gone to one monastery, very famous monastery, Kailash Ashram in the Himalayas. And we were staying there. So morning, we all do meditation and all, very early in the morning. And we went there, what are you all doing? No, we are giving a class now. And these boys are taking a class. What? Morning? Morning is for meditation. But then I realized this is also one form of sacrifice. Studies. Intense studies. So swadhyaya, jnana yajnasya. And after you study, know what you have studied. That becomes a knowledge sacrifice. So what happens? There are three aspects to. First is the sound, something like cow. Okay, you say cow. The word comes cow. It's called shabda. And then my mind understands the association with this sound, right? Till it comes here, it's just sound. When it goes to the brain, it is attached to the meaning. Cow, yeah. Then another part of that meaning flashes. I know the cow. So there is something called Shabda, Artha and Jnana. The sound, everything is sound, this also is sound. But when it enters into your mind, you give it a meaning because you had associations with certain sounds, with certain words. And certain words mean certain things, meaning. So, Shabda, sound, meaning, and then the flash of knowledge. Yeah, I know this. I know this is a cow. Okay. And if I see one cow, I know all the cows in the universe. What? Yeah. It may be a red cow or a blue cow or a green cow or a black cow or a white cow, but I know it's a cow. I've seen one and so that's why you take one grain of sand, you know all the grains of sand in the universe. That's how. So knowledge is both individual and cosmic. Nobody went out to the sun to see what's made out of hydrogen and helium. No, nobody went out there. They get fried. We knew its composition here by seeing the spectrum. Oh, this is what. So it's made of there. So we know things here. We know those stars have methane and those stars have ice and all these things. Did you ever go there? No. I don't need to go there. Why should I go there? You go there. I'll know it here. By staying here, I will take one small fragment of a thing and I will know the whole universe through it. Everything. That's why in the Chandogya Upanishad, the father tells his son Gautama, Swetaketu, like if when you know one lump of clay, you know all the clay in this universe. Yata somya ekena mritpinda sarvam mrinmaya vijnanam syat. You know one lump of clay, you know everything in this universe. You know one piece of iron, you know all the iron. You know one piece of gold, you know all the gold in the universe. Everything. Wow. That's a Jnana Yajna. To understand each and everything is this Jnana Yajna. And Yataya Samshita Vrata. Yataya, these kind of those the highly ascetic people. Yatnashil, actually, those who are the very active, those who are kind of industrious. Vrata is vows. Samshita is like hard and pointed. Those people with very severe vows, as I say. Others are ascetic with severe vows. You take up one thing, I'm not going to let it go till I see the end of it. I'm going to vow that I'm going to finish this work today. Not come hell or high water, I'm not going to leave. So this is that kind of, clinging like death to that particular thing, not letting it go. These guys, they take that kind of, I'm going to finish studying this kind of book today. Simple as that. And put this whole mind, this whole will to it and study it, whatever. And whatever work, etc. So there are these people who take up a thing and see its completion. So these are the people, the yogis who samshita vrata, with severe vows. Yataya samshita vrata. Okay? You could have gone on and on and on and on, but don't worry. We can take the rest of this beautiful chapter on sacrifices next Thursday, 7:30 here. So we'll take this up 29th from the next class. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.